Please don't bully me. I don't come to your job and slap the dicks out of your mouth. Just kidding. I probably would, depending on whose dick it was. But, you know, I don't have kids. They're sticky. They get everywhere. And occasionally I like to have a nice thing. And I think it's amusing that people will spend all this money on like a nice bag, which I guess is great. I would too. But, you know, I choose to do mine on makeup. So we're here today to begin the reviews of the Louis Vuitton Beauty collection. I don't have it all because I'm not a millionaire. I have a lipstick and I have an eyeshadow palette and I have a couple of refills of the eyeshadow palette. And I'm just going to give you an honest review and do my best to talk about this really highly sought after, controversial, referenced, talked about, influenced, beautiful, stunning, pricey collection by Louis Vuitton and by Dame Pat McGrath, my queen. And so if this sounds good to you, then please consider liking and subscribing and following along Unsolicited Advice on Instagram and YouTube. And I wish I had a discount code for this, but I ain't giving that away. So I do have shop my links for other things that I love and wear and will be wearing in today's video, including a new foundation by Natasha Denona. So please feel free to join along, and I hope you enjoy the content. So I've already put some of my Rare Beauty primer on my eyelids just because I had some discoloration. I've been traveling for about a week and a half. I was actually traveling while this collection launched online, and I saw in store the displays, but they didn't have any product on them. And so I've had kind of a weird couple of days, and I had a weird accident happen I'll tell you about. But before we go any further, I'll just kind of go over what I picked up. I picked up one lipstick in the shade Nude Necessary. It's a matte. From my understanding, there's like 25 or 26 mattes and then about the same on the satins. There's 10 lip balms, which look beautiful, and all of them interchange with the cases. And then there's 8 eyeshadow palettes. I picked up one of the palettes and then some of the refills. I have to be honest with you. I plan on getting more of the refills. It is an exquisite formula. The packaging is some of the finest I've ever seen. And the refill prices are comparable to other high-end beauty. The per shade rate is actually very comparable to other per shade rates on the market. Granted, they don't come in their own case. You kind of have to mix and match them. But, you know, the case that comes with like a Chanel single shade is cheap and plastic anyway. So, and those range about $40, $42 each. So, I gotta say, it's expensive, but it is beautifully done. So what I'm going to start with today is my complexion. And for that, I have a new foundation. I wasn't expecting to put in this video because it wasn't supposed to come until next week, but it came today. And it is the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam Liquid Foundation. She's had foundations in the past everybody hated. She has came out with a concealer about a year or two ago that people love and adore, the Hy-Glam concealer. She came out with a powder foundation, and then she finally came out with the liquid foundation. So this is described as a hydrating and blurring long-wear radiant serum foundation, and I have mine in the shade Neutral 3. So we're going to try that on. It's not a foundation review, but we might as well since we have the video going. And so to start, I'm going to prime with the Hy-Gen liquid primer. This is the Energizing and Hydrating Primer Serum, and this is the one in the white shade. There's also a brown now. And I'm just going to put a few drops of that on to prime my skin. This is a glowy primer, but the few times, that I've used it, and I've used it quite a bit, I've always enjoyed this primer. They also have a bronze shade, which would be really nice, I guess, if you wanted to have that kind of under your foundation. So that's lovely. Let's go in with the foundation and take a look at what it looks like. Oh, ooh, I have tea. Okay. So while I was in New York, I went to Printemps, whatever the hell it's called, that fancy store that looks like it came out of Poor Things. And they had a sample of the new Victoria Beckham foundation, which is coming this month, and it is lovely. It's more like a drop, lighter coverage, kind of like the concealer, stretchy. I think there's about 20 shades, but they stretch quite a bit. Anyway, it's something to look forward to. I think it's going to be about $100. Okay, and it's by Augustus Bader. Okay, so let's see what this consistency is like. I did 2.5 pumps. Pretty thin. It's not as thin as, say, Pat McGrath, but it is, it's a nice consistency. So Natasha Denona years ago came out with a foundation that people just didn't like, and it's always been on sale on her website. But then about, 2 years ago or so, she started rebranding her foundation and or face products, and the one that everyone's always been waiting for was a liquid foundation. She came out with a a powder that people seem to really like, but they've always been saying they wanted the liquid, and so I'm glad that this is finally coming out, especially in time for the holidays and such. It would be probably a good item to pick up if you're a Natasha Denona fan at the Sephora sale when it comes around in October, November. It's a little bit thicker when it goes on. It's got a nice finish though. And I think, I think it looks really nice. The color's a good match for me. So I'm pleased with that. I'm going to do a little bit more coverage on the cheek area just because I have some redness. So I go to New York every year for the US Open and to spend a few days in the city. And we had a wonderful time. My best friend and I went and saw some friends that live there. And then as I'm coming home to Oklahoma City, in the long line of weird things that have happened to me since moving to Oklahoma City, I'm 2/3 of the way down the escalator to baggage claim. And up at the top of the escalator, I guess the gentleman who was up there lost control of his luggage. And it came tumbling down the escalator and knocked me down and caused my knee to bend backwards. And so I spent a big chunk of Thursday night at the emergency room. This does have a glowy finish. And so that's been a welcome back to Oklahoma City. Turns out I hyperextended it, they think, after x-rays. And so I'm on painkillers, and I had a shot and I have a brace, but they think that it should be okay. But I couldn't let anything pass trying on these new products. Okay, that looks beautiful. I'll do a more dedicated review, I'm sure, at some point. But it's very nice. It has a nice finish. So yeah, no complaints. That light is really bright up on me. Let's see if that helps. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks nice. So let's do my eyebrows quickly. And Louis Vuitton only came out with eyeshadows and lipsticks with this portion of the collection, as well as some leather goods to hold them. I did not get any of that, and I'm glad that's all they came out with because I couldn't afford any more. So I'm going to do my eyebrows really quick off camera, And then I'm going to come back, we'll throw on concealer, and then we'll start on the demo of one of the Louis Vuitton quads and lipstick. Okay, so I brought you in a little bit closer, and I threw on a brow, and I also put on just a little bit of bronzer. This is the Westman Atelier powder biscuit bronzer from one of their duos, because I just had it sitting here. I'm going to leave blush off because I actually think I'm going to try to use a little bit of the lipstick as a blush today, because for the price, I would think you should be able to use it for both. So we'll see how that turns out. Could be a disaster, but we'll see. So before we go any further, I want to throw on a little bit of my Natasha Denona concealer, and I'll powder under the eyes because it is, as you can see, there's a little bit of shine there, but it's a nice natural finish. I did bring you in a little closer so you can see. I use my Hy-Glam concealers in R2 and Neutral 3. So I use kind of a mix. I use the lighter one towards the inner corner, and then I use the other one towards the outer portion, and for anywhere on the face that might need a little more coverage. And I would assume that it's going to work just like I would assume the foundation and the concealer are going to work just the same. And they feel the same, they smell the same. The concealer's a little bit thicker because that's what concealer is. But I have always thought that Natasha Denona concealer is a good kind of warhorse, everyday concealer. Not my all-time favorite, but certainly up there, and a really beautiful product that I think would work for a lot of people. And I'm guessing that's how the foundation is going to work too, because people said that about the powder foundation. Okay, so good review on Miss Natasha. Let's move on to what we've all been here for. Okay, what do we want to do today? I'm thinking the best thing I think I'm going to do, normally I would just do a look, but I think what I'm going to try to do is do 2 looks with 1 palette, so we can see how we could use it in multiple ways. Because obviously if you're going to spend the kind of money, which is insane, you want to be able to utilize it. So for the record, just getting it out of the way, the Louis Vuitton Beaute eyeshadow palettes are $250 with the component, or $92 without the component. If you get the refill, excuse the dryer, it is $92, and it comes in kind of a clamshell that you could easily use. They are extremely high quality magnets, so you could put them in one of those empty small palettes and it would work great by itself, or you can click them in and out of the Louis Vuitton compact. The lipsticks are $160, and then the bullet itself is, I believe, $90, or maybe it's $70. I'm not sure. Maybe it's $70, but it does not work without the component. So you would need to pop them in and out, but they're extremely easy to pop in and out. So let's take a look. I think I've seen a few reviews as they're starting to trickle in. And the one I haven't really seen a review with yet is the purple one. So I thought that that might be the best place to start. And then throughout the week, I'll try to upload some content with the other ones I purchased. I purchased the blue, and then I purchased the monogram one that has the deep red burgundy color in it. And then I purchased the nude mirage one. I would like to get the other 4, when I win the lottery, or maybe as gifts, or who knows. But let's start today with the purple one, which I believe is called, put it on the screen, Wayne, because I can't remember. It's the purple one. And so when you get your package, and I can put the little video of unboxing it up here, they come with these beautiful dust covers, and these are not flimsy like the Chanel or Tom Ford ones. These are very thick, and inside there are 2 brushes, more of a shader brush and more of something that's a little pointier, and they're just Louis Vuitton beautiful little travel brushes. I'm going to use Refer today, but they're nice that they're in there. and they're not in the component itself, which I actually like. The stitching and the embossing and everything from the box to the holder to the compact itself is just beautiful. I've never seen any kind of product like this before in the beauty sphere, as far as packaging and presentation. So this is the compact. Again, ungodly expensive, but it feels like a hockey puck. It is brass. There's not a sticker to be found on here. Everything is etched in. This feels like some sort of stone. It could be a resin, but it is beautiful. It has the monogram. And then on the back, there's a little device you can pop so that you can put in the other shadows if you want. Because very few people in the world, I would think, can afford to buy all 8 of these at $250 a piece. Like I said, the single shadow or the quad refills are $92, and that actually is less than single shadows from Pat McGrath, from if you divide it out by 4. And these are an exquisite formula. So this one is the purple one. So let's open her up. And you'll see I've already swatched it, but I've included, or I'll try to include that video up there in the corner. But it's a beautiful purple compact. I would describe these shadows as finer milled than like a Chanel single. They're not like a Pat McGrath Mothership shadow. It's not going to be one. It's just, going to change the world like a Pat McGrath baked shadow. That's not it. These are much more refined. They're sleeker. I think they have a lot more pigment than like a Dior or even a Chanel single. I think they're finer milled, but the consistency is somewhat like a Chanel single, just silkier. Definitely better than Chanel quads because, as you probably know, Chanel quads, some of them are gorgeous and wonderful, and then some of them have very little pigment and can be patchy. So it just depends. It's not as creamy as like a Lisa Eldridge or a Natasha Denona. Certainly not as creamy as like a Prada. These are very finely milled, beautiful shades with high impact. They have high pigmentation, but they're extremely easy to use. And so what I'm going to do is, like I said, do 2 looks today so that we can see how these could be used. Because, when you buy something like this, you want to be able to get a lot of looks out of it. There goes the dryer telling me it's done. Inevitably, it's not done, but I have not been able to get off the couch for 2 days on painkillers. So here you go. So I'm going to go in over here with this satin shade, and this appears to be kind of a mid-tone kind of purple satin shade. And on this side, I'm just going to build it up in the corner. And I'm using a Refer, what is this, 14. These are highly pigmented, but they do require a little bit of building as say opposed to like a Prada one, which are just highly pigmented sometimes from the get-go. These are a little more user-friendly, a little more refined. Some of them are a little bit more powdery, but not in a bad way. And they're not special shades like a Pat McGrath special shade, but they are special in the sense that they are beautifully milled and fine, and it's just it's a lovely experience to use them. It should be for the price. I'm going to run a little bit of that shade under the lower lid here. You totally could get the refills and just pop them into one of those magnetic holders. The magnets are very strong on these. And, and then maybe only buy 1 compact and switch them out. They're a beautiful enough formula that I think it would be worth I think they're worth the price of the refills as far as when you divide them out. So that's just put down a lovely layer of that purple. And down here we have a super deep purple shade. And so I'm going to go in and really intensify that corner there. This appears to be a matte. The first one appears to be more of a satin. There's quite a few different formulas even between the 4 that I got, and I'm sure the other 4 probably have them too. There's some satins, there's some mattes, there's some glitters, there's some metallics, but they're all super refined. There's even kind of a duochrome. I think in the pink one in particular, there's kind of a duochrome. And I'm just going to intensify that just a little bit. And that is very pretty. Along the mobile lid, I'm going to go with this glittery purple shade, and it's really beautiful. Actually, I want more impact than that, so I'm going to grab a flat brush. I could definitely get a more diffused look if I wanted to stick with, you know, like a 14 or a Rephr 1, but I'm going to go in with this flat. This is just a Rephr 28. And pack this. This would be probably the most traditional way to wear this quad. You know, lightest to darkest. These feel really nice going on though. Again, they should. That's a beautiful purple look. Okay, on this inner corner, and I'm not going to use any like Pat McGrath Intensify today because I just want you to see how it would look without it. I did put down a primer though because my eyelids have been pretty dark. So I'm going to go in with the top shade, which is a metallic. It's got a little bit of a duochrome, pink to purple to white. And I'm just going to place that on the inner third. These are very refined, very beautiful. They are not super aggressive, but they're also not unpigmented like a lot of Dior can be. Obviously, you know, you could use a wet brush or something like that if you wanted even more, or the Intensify. That's very pretty. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of that glittery purple and just kind of meet those two up there on the corner. It's just a really nice purple look. Really refined, really elegant. I'm going to take this brush and clean it off a little bit and grab a little bit more of this whitish pink color and run it under the eyebrow. I had planned to shave and do all of this wonderful stuff to get ready for this today, and that accident has just knocked it out of me, literally and figuratively. I'm going to go in with a little of this on the inner corner and a little bit under the first third of my lower lid. It's a beautiful formula. And it gives a really elegant look. You can see when I go towards this light that a lot of shine does appear, but it's a very refined shine. It's not like a Mothership or like a Natasha Denona high shine or something like that. This is much more refined. So that's that look. On this side, let's do something that really plays into the matte, because there's a heavy matte in here on the bottom. It's the most consistent, like powdery, saturated matte that's in this palette. And so I'm going to go in with this flat brush again and just put this all over the mobile lid. And you can see this has a lot of pigment. These are powdery, but there's no fallout. And they're extremely silky, kind of elegant shades. And I don't see a drop of fallout. It's very pretty. Some of the topper or the lightest shade in each of these is more of a topper. This one is more pigmented and finer, so I don't think that this would necessarily be a topper, although you could use it to lighten a look. So I'm going to go in with this mid-tone purple over here. And I'm going to grab some of that on this packer brush. And I'm going to put some of that on this outer third. So this would definitely be a deeper look than the other one. This would be more kind of editorial. And so it's going from a more vibrant purple into something that's a little bit more dusty, a little bit quieter. I'm going to take some of that more vibrant purple that's over here and run it under the lash line as well. As you can see, I've done this one much more graphic. This is a more traditional look, much shinier. This is more subtle. Now I'm going to take the white shade, which does have some purple and pink in it, and I'm going to place that on the inner corner and meet it up a little bit. And I'm actually going to take that just kind of a blending brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of that white shade and run it along the edge here just to soften that edge, but also to add a little bit of lightness up there. It's a pretty shade. These are really pretty shades. Are they going to change your life? I don't know. Depends what your life was before. But they're beautiful. They're very user-friendly. They're not artistic like, say, a Pat McGrath Mothership, or, they don't have the pigment of that kind of thing, where it's just intense right off the bat. But they are beautiful and they build lovely. So that's just kind of a smoky, hazy look. On the bottom, this could be a mistake, but I'm going to run the glittery purple shade just to see how it looks on the bottom. It's a very pretty, vibrant purple. You know what I'm going to do just to see what it looks like? I'm going to grab a brush and a little bit of water. You could use a setting spray too on the brush. But I'm going to grab a little bit of that sparkly purple and create a line really close to the lash line. So I didn't want this one to be overly sparkly, but I did want to show how you could use this and just have a little bit of sparkle. And as you can see, with a little water, that worked really well as a sparkly liner on top of a matte, kind of darker color. It's a beautiful product. I don't know what to tell you. Is it going to change your life? I don't know. Is it beautiful? Yes. Are the formulas nice? Yes. Is the packaging the best I've ever seen? Yup. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take, just to set this concealer, press it in now that that's done. And I'm going to take a little bit of my La Prairie setting powder, which, by the way, also expensive, but people rave about how wonderful it is, and it is. So it's all relative. And press some of that in to set that concealer. And I'm going to set that concealer here. And then what I'm going to do is just set kind of my T-zone area, because like I said, I want to use that blush, or I want to use that lipstick as a blush, just to see how it would work. Okay, we need some sort of liner, and our friends at Louis Vuitton did not come out with those, thank God, for our checkbooks. So let's go to the queen of liners, Miss, you know what? No, let's not go with Victoria Beckham. You know who has a perfect glittery liner? Valentino. So let me grab that. I don't know what that says. It's the purple sparkly one. And I think that that would look really beautiful. So I'm going to run that along the lash line. Oh, actually, the lower tear ducts. I don't think I'm going to run it along the lash line up at the top, because these should stand for themselves. And they really do. They're beautiful. Same over here. Very dramatic. And I'll use the little brush to kind of blend those in just a little bit into the Louis Vuitton La Beaute. Okay, so we need a mascara, and for that I'm going to go to Prada, because I think that they have a beautiful mascara that I think would work really well with this. Okay, so I found this is not my Refer one, because my Refer one is still in my travel bag, because I'm unpacking very slowly as I'm limping. But I'm just going to curl these a little bit. And since the Louis Vuitton look is about a little bit of understated glamour, I'm going to use an understated yet glamorous mascara. And for that, I turn to the Prada one, which is really beautiful. And so let's throw a little of that on. I know this is like Alicia Archer's favorite mascara, and it really is nice. One thing I noticed about the Prada mascara, as well as the Louis Vuitton makeup, is I guess because they're made in France, they have a 6-month recommended life. I have not. I use my makeup products far longer than that, and I've had this far longer than that, and it's still beautiful. I think that that might be something about the production, but I'm pretty sure, and I can look in a second, but I'm pretty sure the Louis Vuitton is made in France. Let's see if it's on here. Yeah, made in Paris. So here we have two looks. One that's got more matte with just a little kind of the glittery, sparkly one, and one that's got more of an impact of shine. It's a refined shine. It's not going to be, you know, over the top, but it's really beautiful. This one's a little smokier and maybe a little bit more subdued, but definitely smokier. I like that. And you know, you could use that whitish purple shade over most of the lid with just a little bit of the other purples towards the end and have a much lighter look too, because that's a beautiful kind of very subtle duochrome shade. It's nice, gotta say. Okay, so I only picked up one of the lipsticks because I don't use lipstick a ton. I would like to try more, and I definitely would like to try the balms too. I do tend to use those more. This is the lipstick. Also comes in a beautiful case. This one's very tight, but I think it'll loosen over time. But once you push it out of the carrying case, which by the way, they sent me 3 of. I don't know what that's about. They sent me 3 lipstick carrying cases. So if anybody just needs an extra Louis Vuitton lipstick carrying case to hold a penny in, I guess you could write me. These are beautiful. You can see on the inside a little bit of the preview of the color. Again, not a sticker to be found, thank God. Everything's etched on the product. And then when you open it, it's the strongest magnet I've ever seen for a lipstick. These are quite heavy. Not ungodly heavy, but heavy. And then this device pops out and it has the name etched in it. It has more information etched on the bottom. And then it has the little device that they snap into. And it snaps in and then there's a little click. It's very magnetic. And when you buy the refills for these, they do come with a cap so you can change them in and out, but you can't use them by themselves. It doesn't have kind of a dial like that. You have to have this device. Now the white one, there's a white case that comes with the balms, but they all interchange. So if you want to have the white one out or something, you can definitely interchange them. They do come with a case cap so you can store them and interchange them, and they're very easy to interchange. And then, like I said, it is written on here. It's etched on here, actually, the name, which this is a matte. They have mattes and satins. This is a matte. This is number 105, I believe, Nude Necessary. So it clicks in and then it turns and it pops, and then suddenly you can use it. This is a beautiful nude, kind of rosy nude shade. So I'm excited to see how this looks today. The satins I've seen online look really beautiful too. So what I'm going to do is actually, let's put it on by itself first. Like I said, I plan to shave and all that for today, but I'm drugged up. So I'm going to put this on and then we'll put a liner with it because I would always wear it with a liner. Okay, it's a lot of pigment and it's quite creamy. Lot of pigment. Very blurring. It does not feel dry at all. That's a beautiful color. It doesn't feel dry in the least, but it's very nice. There is a fragrance, but I don't find it particularly strong. I have heard from some that the satins have a stronger scent. So to line this, I'm going to grab one of my favorite liners, which is the Victoria Beckham number 2. The Westman Atelier Biscuit would work really well with this too. And it has a point on it. I feel like you could line it with the lipstick because there's no running here. And there's even a blurring effect. But it's not running. And I have, you know, some pretty deep lines on my lips. And I did not put any treatment on them today. Just because I want to see what they look like. By themselves. It's a beautiful color. I mean, it's very blurring. It's not sticky at all. They're very hydrated. I've heard really good things about the balms. While I have it out, I'm just going to take a little of this on my finger and try it as a blush. God help us if they come out with blushes. Maybe 2 on each side. maybe 3. And let's see if we can work that in a little bit. Just to see how it would look. Looks really nice as a blush too. It's really beautiful. I don't know what else to say. It's a really beautiful product. It feels really, really comfortable. And I like both of the looks. So I'm going to say, you know, everybody's value is different. I think this is a much better spend than, say, spending it on children who are sticky and get everywhere. But, you know, some people like children. But, you know, I, for one, think that this is a really beautiful product, that you could collect the refills over time, and they're a little bit more reasonable in price. And then that way, you know, you really only have to buy one of the compact or 2 if you know, get a gift or something. Same with the lipsticks, and interchange them in and out. I'm going to grab a little bit of the YSL highlighter. This is the lightest one. And I'm just going to put that up here because there was no highlight. But as you see, that would work nicely as a blush. For a nude color, it works pretty well. If you were in a pinch. Of course, the person who buys Louis Vuitton makeup is not in a pinch. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. Over the next few days, I'll try to do the other 3 quads. And then, you know, over time, maybe I'll try to get the other ones. Everything is sold out pretty much in the United States right now. But I gotta say, I gotta give it to Pat McGrath and Louis Vuitton. They did a beautiful job coming out with a lovely formula, a lot of pigment, really refined, super easy to work with, and the most beautiful packaging you'll ever find. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, follow along, all that goodness. Unsolicited advice on Instagram and on YouTube. And I'll put the pictures up at the end. And I hope you have a good day. More LV coming soon. La Beaute. Bye.